Before I get into our next game, Flagman, let's talk a little bit more about the history. I didn't want to front load all the history into the first video, so specifically I want to talk about the build quality and game quality. Game & Watch wasn't the first portable game to hit the market. It might not have even been the first LCD game to market. In the Ball video, I mentioned how Nintendo talked about Ball and Game & Watch like they invented the wheel. In actuality, it was more like they refined it and smoothed it out. GW games were definitely different from what was available, and it wasn't like anything else on the market, even for a decade after its release. GWs, as you've seen, have a very serious design to them. They don't try to look like a children's toy because they weren't made for little kids. These were made for people of all ages to play during their commute, waiting for buses to show up, hopping on trains, or just time to kill between classes and stuff like that. Or just, toilet games. These definitely reek of toilet games. And if they've been used in the toilet games for too long, they might reek of toilet. These were serious devices for serious people who had some short windows of downtime from riding the train. Everything about the design is solid, simple, clean, and durable. Like many other older Nintendo products, these were built different and built to last, but they were still very thin. They have a simple rectangular design, silver finish, with a splash of color from buttons in its frame, plain text, and serious design. Despite being a toy, they didn't look like it. Interestingly, they even stuck to this build quality when bringing them to the US. I've mentioned how these were all localized and how Ball was changed into Toss-Up in the US. That's because Nintendo really didn't have a place in the American market yet, so they released their Game & Watches through Mego, who named the devices Timeout Games. If the design looking like a prison for video games wasn't kid repellent, then calling it a timeout certainly was. I'm guessing Nintendo still manufactured the games and just sent them over blank to Mego for localization and branding. The build quality and design is just perfect for me though. I can see myself carrying one of these around instead of my Retro Pocket 3 Plus or my Switch 2. Game & Watch are actually portable, unlike these. Anyway, Nintendo continued to stand out with this design well until they ended the series after many iterations and changes like multiplayer versions or mini arcade cabinets. The cheapness we associate with these handhelds didn't really kick in until Tiger Electronics hit the scene. Those were the dark times, and are better left to a video of their own. If I can ever find one, these hunks of garbage used to be everywhere, and now I can't find even one at a yard sale anymore. Game & Watch Flagman. Flagman is the next Game & Watch game. It came out shortly after Ball and came in an orange box. With how simple it is, you'll wonder why it didn't release the same day as Ball. In Flagman, or Flag Space Man, in the needlessly localized American version, you watch the Flagman and repeat his commands back at him, not to be confused with the hit horror character Bagman. In Game A, this is done through mimicking his actions back at him, and in B, you try to press the corresponding buttons as fast as possible. So despite this using the exact same resources, you have two very different games. You have a memory game similar to Simon, which came out 2 years prior, and a reaction-based game. They both had the same loss conditions though. All you have to do is just fail to press the buttons in time and you lose. So if you look away for even a second, you're screwed. And this one gets fast. At least you have 3 chances to fail though. In the physical version, you have 7 buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4, Game A, Game B, Time, and I didn't mention this last time, but ACL. It resets the data like time and scores. The numbered buttons, of course, correspond to the number displayed by the Flagman. He shows you the number on either a flag or on the bottom of his grippers. I can't believe that he's showing us his dogs for free like this. Filthy. This feels weirdly fetishy in 2025. I guess they didn't really have the foresight they thought they did. Maybe I've just been on the internet for a little too long. In Game A, he'll show you these in a pattern, and when you get it right, he repeats the pattern and adds an additional number. Despite me being pretty bad at remembering number sequences beyond 12, I found myself getting to 20 pretty easily. Maybe it's the repetition. In Game B, he shows you one number, then you have to press the same number as quick as possible. I don't think there is much of a challenge to these games except for remembering what button is what. Number 1, top left. Number 2, top right. 3, bottom left, and 4, bottom right. It's easy on the original because the locations on screen correspond with the location of the buttons and they're clearly labeled. I think Simon is better though because the indicators are built into the buttons, making it require no translation at all from your brain. But this incredibly simple game got a re-release on Game & Watch Gallery 3 for the GBC and was put on Switch Online. Was anyone really specifically wanting Flagman? Because I definitely bought a $500 gaming handheld just to play a less colorful Simon. In GW Gallery 3, or GWG 3 as the pros call it, you unlock Flagman by unlocking 10 stars and talking to Princess Peach in the gallery. Stars are unlocked by getting high scores in the games that you have unlocked. For every 200 points, you get one additional star with a maximum of 1,000 points. Thankfully, GWG 3 has remake versions of some of these games as well as the classic versions, and they're very easy to get high scores in if you can avoid falling asleep. They also have an easy and hard mode for each game. This means you can earn up to 100 stars on just the first 5 games, so you should be able to unlock the coveted Flagman Flagman pretty easily. Wow, this accidentally turned into a review of GWOG 3. The remakes in GWOG are pretty fun though, so you should try them. Unfortunately, Flagman isn't a remake, it's just a port or a reproduction of the original. The real problem comes from translating the game's actions to the inputs on your device. Up is 1, down is 3, A is 2, and B is 4. This is fine, and it works fine, but I think when emulating it on Switch Online, we could have had a better control scheme. After all, the bumpers and triggers are arranged in the same way as the physical version's buttons. LB could be 1, RB 2, LT 3, RT 4. It's still not perfect, but without remaking the game to accommodate the modern controls, this is the best we could get. There are other ways to play Flagman, of course, but they didn't do a reproduction like Ball, so getting an original Flagman is absurdly expensive, from the hundreds to the thousands, despite how mid this game is. Personally, I think the original $50 was already too high of an asking price. You can get Simon keychains for 15 bucks and it's the same thing. I checked Japanese sites and even they charge high prices for Flagman. Emulation is of course an option. You can get a ROM for MAME and then map the controls how you like, but I also found someone on itch who makes 3D handhelds that can be played in your browser. If you don't feel like messing around with emulation or buying Switch Online, you can try Flagman and many other LCD games on Idaso's itch page, Retrofab. They even have Sonic Speedway, which is my favorite, but it was a McDonald's toy. A little harder to get. I should probably look into finding one. Great, now I'll have to talk about those one day too. Anyway, the best way to play this game is unfortunately the original. You're going to react faster when there's less translation in the buttons. You could play the other versions and get good with enough practice, but you're not missing out. In my opinion, this is probably the worst Game & Watch toy ever. Not only is it highly derivative and incredibly basic, it was all that 45 years ago. It was born ancient. Benjamin Button disease, but for a video game handheld. This game only has value as a pack-in with other Game & Watch games. It's like, oh sick, GWOG 3 has Egg and Greenhouse? Flagman is there too, I guess. Might play that a couple of times. I don't recommend giving anyone money just to play this, as its value is purely historical. If Nintendo made a big anthology of all their games and didn't include Flagman, I'd be upset, but I'd get over it pretty quickly. But they should include it just for the sake of completion. Also, please make a Game & Watch Gallery 5 or Mega Edition with remakes for all of them, even if you don't feel like making modern versions. I need to be able to make a child go into full cardiac arrest when I tell them this was gaming 50 years ago. But don't waste your time with Flagman. You watch the game here, that's the full experience. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed Flagmen, Flagwomen, and Flag non-binaries. Please sub for more games and or watches, and I'll see you all later. Bye!